What's up guys, welcome back. Now we're going to be talking about the Switch Pro, or this next generation Switch, whatever you want to call it, in this video, and we're going to attempt to do something that a lot of people are not doing out there, and that is called context to information. So we're going to try to provide context to what the Nikkei report specified and from what the past reports have been from the Wall Street Journal. So if you have been subscribed to this channel since 2018 at least, you'll know that I've been following every inch, every aspect, every hint, every possible piece of information about this new Switch and upgraded Switch rumored to be coming in 2019. So you know that I have a lot of information already on file on my YouTube channel regarding this stuff. So hopefully by knowing that, this video will help you guys to understand a little bit better, because a lot of the other people out there reporting this information are not taking into context what was previously reported and are only using the Nikkei report for some of this stuff and going off of that. So the key thing to take away from the Nikkei report is that it is a Japanese only article that has been translated by a bunch of different websites. First and foremost, it was mistranslated incorrectly by US Gamer when they said that the Switch Pro was going to be postponed and that it had technical difficulties, power consumption issues, and it even had issues running the OS. This was later debunked and said this was an incorrect translation. Sirkin Toto said it on Twitter, who speaks fluent Japanese, and then a bunch of other websites came forward and also did their own translations, basically trying to give their best interpretation of the translation of what it said. So that is the big disadvantage of this information, guys. You have to think very clearly on is that this is a translated article. Some of the things here are not going to be very clear, especially this one part of the Nikkei article that was translated that doesn't quite make sense to a lot of people and does sound a little confusing. Quite possibly this is due to the translation. So the advantage that the Wall Street Journal has is that they have a Japanese correspondent named Mochizuki who writes in both Japanese articles and full English articles for their publications. So in regards to the Switch Pro and Switch Mini, he has a full Japanese article and he has a full English article for the United States and English speaking audience. So we need to consider that before considering the Nikkei information, because the Wall Street Journal has provided a more clear context about the Switch Pro and Switch Mini as far as who they have talked to and some of the details they have. However, some of the information in the Nikkei article is even more specific regarding what the Switch Pro actually is, while the Wall Street Journal information kind of danced around it and hinted more at it. But basically the information for the Switch Pro in regards to what the Wall Street Journal has said and in regards to what Nikkei has said does in fact line up to being the same console from what they're talking about. Some people out there are confused. Maybe they're thinking that the Nikkei article is talking about a third console that is super powerful or a next generation console. I'm going to show you right here in the video that they're actually talking about the same Switch Pro, basically in different wording. So first of all, take a look at the video I just did recently showing exactly what the Wall Street Journal said from developers who actually played the Switch Pro. Okay, and so this is from developers that actually played it. Take a look. One version, talking about the new Switch, will have enhanced features targeted at avid video gamers, although it won't be as powerful as Sony's PlayStation 4 Pro or Xbox One X from Microsoft, according to parts suppliers and software developers for Nintendo who have access to a prototype of the machine. Nintendo suppliers and game developers have been talking with their investors about the new Switch machines for several months. People who have used the devices say they aren't just similar looking new versions with a higher or lower performance. So that's very clear, right? People who have used the devices, they're saying that they're not just more powerful versions that just look similar to the same console. And then it reiterates that in the next paragraph by saying you would be wrong to think the enhanced version, the Switch Pro, is similar to what Sony did with PS4 Pro. And the other one, the Switch Mini, is just a cheap alternative that looks very similar to some past handheld machines, say Sony's PlayStation Vita. So the reason why we're going over this again is because I don't think it was clear enough to people who read the article. I do think there was a lot of confusion here, but it looks like very clearly here that developers are saying that this new Nintendo Switch is not just an enhanced version of the Nintendo Switch. Basically, it's not just like a new 3DS is what they're saying, because that is what a new 3DS is from the old 3DS. So basically it is a more powerful 3DS Pro. Basically it looks the same pretty much, with some enhancements, some differences to it, and it's more powerful, but it's basically like a PlayStation 4 Pro for Nintendo. That's what the new 3DS is. Now let's take a look at what Nikkei said from their article, and this was translated. Remember, this is not directly a translation from that news publication, it's from their Japanese article that was translated by someone else. So this is not exactly possibly an exact word for word phrasing, but it is close enough obviously for some of the things, even though part of it is a little bit confusing, which we'll touch on in a moment. But they said development on a next generation device that is a full model change of the current hardware will reportedly follow the less expensive model. So that is the Switch Pro following the Switch Mini. While Nintendo is said to be trying out various things, including operability and video expression improvements, operating system changes, and so on, development is currently in a state where it is not clear who will lead the creation of the concept, according to one developer. Alright, so we'll get to that last part in a minute, but when you compare the explanation of what the Switch Pro model is, or the next generation Switch is, compared to what the Nikkei article says and the Wall Street Journal says, they're basically saying the same thing. The Wall Street Journal is saying that this is not just a normal enhanced version of a console like the PlayStation 4 Pro compared to the PlayStation 4. They were hinting that these models would be surprising and not what you would be typically expecting from a quote-unquote normal upgrade. And that lines up exactly pretty much with what Nikkei said, because they're saying that this is a full model change of the current hardware, a next generation device. And yes, that would be different than just a normal upgrade. It would be a full model upgrade basically, because when you think about it, PlayStation 5 is an upgrade from PlayStation 4. Super Nintendo is a big upgrade from the NES. It's a different kind of upgrade because it is a full model upgrade. It is the next lineup of the console. They weren't talking about 3 consoles in the Nikkei article, and they weren't talking about 3 consoles in the Wall Street Journal article. They're only talking about the enhanced version of this new Switch. When you think of it that way, just like the original Nintendo, the Super Nintendo is a Super Nintendo. It is an enhanced Nintendo. The only people that have called it Switch Pro has been myself, you guys, everyone else, because no one else knows what to call the thing, because everyone figured, of course, it would just be an upgrade to the original system, play the same games, what have you, enhanced, and have increased capabilities. None of these publications actually really called this just that. They never actually named what the enhanced Switch was. Wall Street Journal never actually named it. These are all rumored devices, yet to be named, yet to be shown what their specs are, right? And to go along with what the Wall Street Journal said as far as it not being just a typical upgrade like what the PS4 Pro did to the PS4, they also specified from the developers who actually played this enhanced Switch, we'll just call it enhanced Switch, that the console will not be as powerful as a PlayStation 4 Pro and Xbox One X in raw performance. So that part now might make a little bit more sense if this is a full model upgrade from the previous Switch, as the Nikkei article says. You see, so it lines up. This appears to be a next generation Switch. That's not just your typical upgrade, it is a next generation model, a brand new model to the Switch lineup. And we don't know what they're going to name it, but obviously it's not going to be called a Switch Pro. So I like the name Super Switch. We had a whole discussion about that in the live stream, what they're going to name it. We don't know. That is a fun part of these consoles. We don't know what they're going to name it, but I really hope they don't just call it New Switch, because everyone agreed that New 3DS was a bad name, even though it did sell very well. Sometimes the naming of the consoles can definitely hurt sales. I do think Wii U was a terrible name, and I do think it cost them quite a bit of sales just from the name itself. But hey, if they name it the Switch Rubber Ducky, I'll still buy it. It's a brand new next generation Nintendo Switch. Of course, I'm gonna buy it no matter what they call it. I don't personally care about the name, but I do care about it hurting sales if the name is bad enough. So again, getting back to this translated article from the Nikkei report, remember this is translated Japanese. It was not actually written in the English language. That is a disadvantage, like I said, that it has against the Wall Street Journal. So getting back to the part where one of the developers told Nikkei that it is not clear who will lead the creation of the concept, that was a quote they used that was translated from another quote, you see? So we don't really know exactly what that means per se, and the reason why I say that about this particular wording, because the wording doesn't sound right. It is not clear who will lead the creation of the concept. And the reason why that doesn't make sense is because we already know the system is playable, and the developers have already played the Switch enhanced version. According to the Wall Street Journal, they played the console, they know what it's like. So it is not in the concept stages. And in the Wall Street Journal article, if you recall, they already talked about them informing suppliers that they were going to be starting production on these consoles. And you guys have to consider that Nikkei and Wall Street Journal have different sources, different developer sources. So it is possible that some of the developers that Nikkei contacted could have information that is out of date or more vague than the developers that the Wall Street Journal contacted, who actually played the enhanced Switch and have a lot better idea of when it's coming out. So you guys have to consider all these possibilities. So it doesn't appear that the Switch Enhanced version or the Switch Mini are that far out from being released. Even if the Enhanced Switch comes out in 2020, that's still not a very long time from now. Even though the Nikkei article never said the year 2020 at all in their article for the Enhanced Switch, the only time range we have to go on is that the Wall Street Journal says that both these new consoles are most likely going to be revealed at E3 and begin to be released as early as the summer of 2019. So we could be seeing something like an August or September release for the Switch Mini, and then a holiday November release, what have you, for the Enhanced Switch. Or we could be seeing a fall release for the Switch Mini and then a early 2020 release for the Enhanced Switch. But either way, the Wall Street Journal was a lot more clear in that these consoles are a lot further along in development than just the concept phase, because developers have hands-on time and played these consoles already, including this next generation enhanced Switch. So it's really interesting though, because the Nikkei article was more specific on one part but more vague on another part with this information, and also it was translated multiple times from different people. It's not the original wording that they use, obviously, in the language, especially for that last part. They said they weren't clear on the creation of the concept, because just taking that last little quote by itself, someone may think, oh, that, you know, they're just barely starting this, they probably don't even have any hardware at all. Someone could easily make that assumption if you don't take what I just talked about with the Wall Street Journal into consideration, that no, the console is already playable, it's been seen, they may even be revealing it at E3, you see? And we don't want to say it's definitely coming in 2019 or definitely coming in 2020. We don't want to say that because Nintendo hasn't even confirmed that this is even a thing yet publicly. It's still basically a rumor for now, even though it's a very, very well reported rumor from multiple verified, reputable websites, Wall Street Journal and Nikkei. These publications have very high level contacts. So yes, you can bet there's truth to this information. So you have to weigh all that in your minds when you consider the information, and all the past information combined with the new information will give you a lot more context, which is what has been sorely missing from a lot of people in reporting this information today. But a couple facts I do know is that I'm going to definitely be at E3, and Nintendo is definitely going to be at E3. So if there is new consoles to announce, we're going to see it very soon at E3. So either way, we're probably going to be getting an answer to some of these questions that we have about these new Switch models coming. But for now, we have to wait and see. However, this is definitely very exciting news, because it does look like the parts that do match up with the Wall Street Journal and Nikkei about this being a upgraded Switch that is not your normal upgrade, basically a next generation full model change of the current hardware. The fact that that part does line up is very exciting, because myself as a Nintendo fan who prefers to play on Nintendo hardware, I would like to play all those third-party games as well in the future on my Nintendo platform of choice. And of course, I would still play PlayStation and Xbox exclusives on those consoles as well. You don't want to limit yourself to one console. But since I've always preferred Nintendo, this type of upgrade sounds very exciting to me. Alright guys, let me know what you think about all this in the comment section. I do hope you understood everything we went over in this video. Please discuss amongst yourselves, and if you did enjoy this video, please hit the like button, subscribe for more, and I'll talk to you very soon in the next video. Have a great day.